Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs and a happy Monday morning to you all. I hope you're all right. I hope the day and week is going to treat you well. Apologies, won't be live today. Not feeling very well, basically, is my answer. But in this video, something that I've wanted to do for a little while is talk about really the 25-26 season. Obviously, the 24-25 season is, not an end, I know. But planning for the next season, it's already happening for all clubs. They already think about who they're going to want to be here, who's going to want to be here next season, who they want to be here next season, who they might want to add next season. So I'm going to jump into that world as well as the higher ups of this world. Obviously, they get paid a great wage. I'm doing it for, pennies on the dollar sort of thing. But yeah, we're going to be doing a tier list. It is keep or sell. So there won't be let's just see what they can do in pre-season. It's based on how I feel right this second on Monday, the 10th of March. I might feel completely different on the 24th of March. I might feel completely different in May. But just right this second, it's keep or sell. Let me bring you in so you can have a look at what I'm doing. And you can see there's players who are out on loan. You can see there's players that are running out of contract time as well. So a few of these are going to be super easy to work out. But, you get the point, okay? So let's jump in and start. Vicario is your first one up. He's obviously keep. He is your number one. He's a very solid keeper. If it wasn't him the last few weeks, we'd probably be out of Europe already. We would have not picked up a point against Bournemouth. We would have gotten beaten quite heavily in many other games as well. Big Fraser is the first one on the sell side of things. He wasn't bad this season. I think people focus a little bit too much on the Man United game, which we won, by the way. Don't forget, we did actually win that game. But he actually has been a really solid player for us. It's just using that squad spot that he has to bring in an outfield player, like a left back that we truly need. It is something going forward. The other two, we're going to keep both of them in Brandon Austin and Kinski. Kinski is obviously your number two. Solid player by all things considered, all the metrics. And Brandon Austin is the homegrown academy trained player who, as a third string, I think is a really solid option. Obviously, we may not be in Europe next year. I do get that. I'm not an idiot. I do get the idea that we might not be. But if we are, he's needed just for the academy train side of things. Mickey van der Ven, your first outfield player, we're going to keep him. He just needs to get fit. And having Mickey fitter for 20% more of the games that he's missed, we'd be many points better off. He just needs to get fit. He really, really does. Ben Davies, it's my first one actually on the sell. Now, I like Ben. I think Ben playing this season has been dependable, but he is getting on. He is in his 30s. And I feel like when I've talked about players who have been here for years and years and years, who have played under many different managers, he is included, obviously, in this. It's time just to refresh everything. We hook on to players for too long. Other clubs move off of players a year early. We do it a year late. We need to be better at that. It's what they do in the NFL and the NBA. Move off a player 1 year too soon, then 1 year too late. And this is the prime example of that. Ashley Phillips, I'm actually going to sell. I don't know he's ever going to be the centre-back that we hope he's going to be. Obviously, this pre-season, we'll see if he gets the chance to show what he's about. But, having been on loan to Stoke and Plymouth, he's not really had that loan move for a team that's really fighting for anything positive. He played for two teams that are fighting off relegation. Obviously, look, like I said, it's keep or sell. It's not keep. Let's see what he's got in pre-season and sell. Vuskovic looks a rock star. Buzzing for him to officially be a Spurs player this summer, even though he's not. He is a Spurs player now, but he's not officially, basically. Big Kev, I've liked what I've seen so far from Big Kev. Dependable defender. Sergio Reguilon, get out. Just get out. Stealing money. Jed Spence, one of the revelations over the last few months. A guy that can push Porro to be better and push a doggy to be better. And in turn, he's probably been better than both of those guys this season. What I also have loved is his character. For a guy who was sniped character-wise for a long time, he is a guy who actually, this season's been more vocal than some of your quote-unquote leaders for Spurs. Romero's been fairly vocal, but, you haven't really heard much from like a Rodrigo Bentancur. You didn't hear much from players like Pape Matar Sarr. You didn't hear much from players like, I'm just looking along the list here. Maddison, you hear about every now and then as well. Sonny, never hear anything from Richie. You don't hear anything really from like your Mickey Van der Vens even, Basuma, you never hear anything from Basuma. So I like his attitude. And it's shocking because people didn't. Pedro Porro, I still think there's an absolutely great player there. I just don't think it's been the season that he would have wanted. I think he's probably been overplayed due to injuries. He's had to play. We've had no one else. I think I'm the backup right back when everyone's injured. I still think there's a player there. I don't think he played well against Bournemouth. Obviously, he was a big culprit to their first goal, but I still think there's a player there. You saw it last season, same thing here. Romero, our best defender. I don't look at Bournemouth and say, well, he's downing tools. The guy's barely played this season. We just need to get him fit. It's the same with Mickey. If you put them together, we just need to get these two fit. We really, really do. Same with this man as well, Destiny Doggy. I think, too many people this season have kicked lumps out of Destiny. He had no pre-season. He had no tour. He had a massive quad surgery that he could have really done with a pre-season to get up to speed. And it's quite hard to get players up to speed after a big injury like that in the middle of a season. I'm thinking next season he's going to bounce back massively. And Dragoshin, you're not going to sell Dragoshin. The guy's on an ACL injury. He's out till January, probably next year. You're not selling him. Whether you like him or not, you're not selling him. No one's buying a player, at that point. Defensively, he's very, very sound. For me, if he was technically like 20% better, he'd be a really solid player. And I think that can be improved. He right now, not great. Ignore Big Kev. I've got him on the list twice. I would put him in keep already, but he's already there. Coming into midfielders, Basuma, sell. Bentancur, sell. They're both together on the list. Basuma, first and foremost, a guy who, for the first 10 games of Ange Ball last season, was one of the best midfielders in the league, and I think everyone was super excited by the ability that he put on show. Watching him against Bournemouth yesterday, all the things that you put your hat on, say that's what he does well. There's things that he doesn't do well, but there are things that he does. The things that you'd put your hat on and say, yeah, he's good at that. Yeah, he's good at this. It's like he's regressed in these things. He's going to have 1 year left on his deal. He's in his late 20s. And like I said, move them on a year too early rather than a year too soon. He is one of them. Now, the reason, I say that is, and it goes for Bentancur as well, neither of which deserve a contract extension. They don't. I think a lot of people, I like Bentancur, and I think on his day, he's a great player, but his day just doesn't come around very often. I get people who have said, how would you feel after an ACL injury and concussions? Well, I've had ACL injuries. I've had a meniscus tear, things like that. The concussions, obviously, I played rugby. I didn't really have any concussions as such, but, I've had some pretty horrific things. I haven't played to that level, obviously. So I do get, to a degree, day-to-day wise, how it affects you. I can say that. And it's not great. But when you've got the best science in the world, you've got medical teams, you've got teams working around the hours to get you fit and keep you healthy. When we needed him most this season, he let us down. I'm going to be real. The stupid bookings the booking last week to miss this AZ Alkmaar game on Thursday. It's that example. That's the big example recently. But other games this season, we're picking up a 95th minute booking to miss the next game when we're already missing 10 plus players. It's just unacceptable, and it shows a lack of discipline. And he's got 7 bookings in the Premier League this season. He missed 7 games or 8 games through suspension. He's got as nearly many bookings as he did for that one suspension from the summer. So yeah, don't give him a new deal. Move him on. Archie Gray, absolute rock star. I want him to get some of their minutes this next season, for sure. Hell, this season even. Alfie Devine, I'm struggling with because I want to see what he can do in pre-season. But I think if I had to pick one way or the other, it's sell. But we'll see in pre-season. Lucas Bergvall, rock star. And Pape, I think those three together can be very good still. Two of them are obviously still teenagers. Pape has played through injury after injury after injury for us this season. I think against Bournemouth, he looked a little bit better. I don't think by any means he was great, but he looked a little bit better. He just needs to build on that now. I think there's a player there in Pape. Just needs time. Jamie Donnelly, I love what he's done at Leyton Orient this season. I would be looking to integrate him potentially into the first team squad next year, unless he's going to get a really great championship loan. I don't mind that. But I think there's a real player there. Brian Hill. Brian's had a good season out in Girona. They are, there's all the reports out of Spain that they want to keep him, but they don't want to pay that 15 million euro release clause, which I don't blame them. We didn't do it with Kulusevski. So I don't blame Girona doing it. And look, if we can get, let's say, 10 million euros out of that deal, you take it, you run, you move on. Maddison, I'll keep. I think, obviously, probably one of our best creative players. Keep. Sonny, look, 21 goal contributions this season. I think only 15 players in Premier League history have scored more goals than him. I think assist-wise, he's probably not far off that as well. I get that maybe this season hasn't gone the way that we all hoped it would, and maybe Sonny hasn't been as good as he was previously. But 21 goal contributions, 27 last season, he really isn't the crux of our issues, Richie, sell. I mean, look, 545 minutes this season. You pay nearly 60 million for him, and you haven't got your return on him. Just cash in, sell, bring in a guy who is going to play more often. I love Richie. I actually like him as a player. I think he is a good player, but like I've always said, and the old added saying is, your best ability is availability. Old Timo, he's not going to be here next season. We know that. He'll be gone. Big Dom, our number 9, he will obviously be here next season. He's been one of the shining lights of this season as well. Obviously, he can't do everything. And, people digging him out recently for Bournemouth game, for example. It's like, well, if you're doing a graveyard shift, what do you want to do? He isn't Jesus. He's not turning water into wine. Okay? You've got to feed a striker you've got to feed a striker for him to give you something for it. Dane, I liked what I've seen from Dane this season. I think Dane as a third option striker, I really don't mind. I think, ironically, probably in pre-season, he was behind Lancashire and Valise. I feel like he's actually taken a leap ahead of them now. And it's funny what can happen in football. Lancashire, I would keep, but I think he'll be out on loan next season. He looks like a player that needs a loan move. The West Brom loan move isn't going the way that I think Spurs would have wanted. I don't think Spurs truly knew that West Brom were going to be signing Adam Armstrong on loan. Obviously, we do the loan roundup every Tuesday, which will obviously be out tomorrow. We just need him to get more game time. That's it. But West Brom fans seem to like him. It's just obviously Adam Armstrong's there now. Dejan Kulusevski, player of the season, you'd say so far. You're going to keep him, obviously. Wilson Odobert, I would keep. I think there is a player there. I think there is a player that I saw against Bournemouth, the things that he was trying. It wasn't all working, but that's what players who dribble a lot do. It doesn't always work. I think once he knocks the rust off, he gets his fitness back, gets the legs and the sharpness back, I think there's a player there. But again, he has missed so much football this season. Just give him a time to breathe. Matisse Tell. Now, I'm going to keep him in keep for now, okay? Now, bear with me on this one. Matisse, I think there is a player there. I think he's coming from Bayern, where he was not playing any minutes for a little while leading into his move to Spurs. We've asked him to play 90 minutes a game, 3 times a week. I think he has struggled to build his fitness in that regard, because I think there's building fitness and then there's overdoing it. And I think he's in the overdoing it camp. I think there's a real player there. I think there is. And I think the idea was to give him minutes alongside Solanke, not opposite one another. And I think let's just see if we can get those minutes out of him this season. But one thing I would say is there is talent there. I really do think there's talent there. Now, give him to the end of the season, see what we've got. If it hasn't wowed and it hasn't landed the way we want it to land, I wouldn't want to be buying him. He's going to cost a big chunk of money, who you might be able to get someone that's ready to go right this second. I mean, people are going to be talking about like Nico Williams. He's cheaper to sign, but like his wages are so crazy. Spurs are never going to do that. They aren't. As much as I would want them to, they're not going to. And us wanting something and us being realistic as to what Spurs are going to do are two very different things. So we'll see on him. Alejo Veliz, I think sell is my mindset right this second. Obviously, we'll see in pre-season what he has, but he's not really played the football that I think we would have hoped for at Espanyol. Espanyol don't play the football we really play as Spurs. They're not exactly a possession-based team. Mikey, keep. Oh, not in sell, keep. There we go. I think there is a player there. He is 17. It just takes time. How many 17-year-olds in the past have come in and nailed it and been a regular starter? People will harp on about Lamine Yamal. I get that. But normally, 17-year-olds are given time to develop. And we're just taking their time with him. Jono, I think you keep. I think output-wise, it's there. I don't think he should be a starting right winger. I don't. Maybe it is Tell. Maybe Tell is your starting right winger for a little while to see what he has. But Johnson, yeah, it does my head in a little bit with it all. Solomon, sell. He's having a good season at Leeds. I think you cash in on him, you take that money and you run. That's my true opinion on it all. I just think his value is absolute highest, and you just take the money out of it. Ignore the last four because they're already on the list. Alejo, Ashley, Matisse, and Kevin, they're all on the list. So there's my list. Let me know what you think down below, because I think there's probably some contentious things that people would go, I hate your list. This is why. Well, let me know down below, and I'll speak to you all then. Take care. Peace.